Welcome to Empower Her Radio, the space for powerhouse women ready to step into their next level of abundance, purpose, and personal freedom. I'm Dr. Corey Winn, a high performance coach, doctor of physical therapy, philanthropist, and business consultant. I help ambitious women align with their highest calling, expand their wealth and impact, and create a life that feels as good as it looks. If you're a high achieving woman who's built success yet finds yourself craving more alignment, more purpose, more ease, you're in the right place. Here, we bridge the gap between ambition and fulfillment. Through transformative conversations and proven strategies, you'll gain the courage to step into the fullest expression of you. Build a powerhouse business that aligns with your expertise and divine gifts, and lead your life, both personally and professionally, with unshakable confidence, worthiness, and compassion. This is about expansion, legacy, and owning your power unapologetically. You already have everything inside of you to create a life of unlimited possibility. It's time to unlock it. Welcome to your next level. Let's dive in. This episode of Empower Her Radio with Dr. Corey Winn is brought to you by Her Quantum Rise, the private coaching experience for the woman who refuses to play small. Her Quantum Rise is where high-achieving women come to elevate their leadership, align with their deepest purpose, and unlock overflow in every area of life. This is where you shed the old paradigm, step into your highest identity, and rise with clarity, certainty, and unstoppable momentum. If you're ready to move from doing it all to leading from grounded power, if you feel the pull toward a bigger life, a bigger mission, and a bigger capacity to receive, then I would love to explore what this next level looks like for you. Book a complimentary call at www.coreywin.com/free call and step into the room where your expansion becomes inevitable. Your rise starts here. Today, I am so excited to introduce you to Alessa Caridi, known as the Power Posture Pro and founder of Jobu Fit. She's a master certified Pilates instructor, workplace wellness expert, author, and speaker who has taken anatomy-based movement from dance studios to corporate boardrooms and to the United Nations. Alessa's work is rooted in the powerful truth: 1 or 2 workouts a week don't create a healthy body, just like 1 or 2 healthy meals don't create a healthy diet. Alessa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell us how you got here. Start from the beginning. I always like to know the story from the top.
That's a long, very, very long story. What I typically tell people, because it's such a broad question, I hate to stress this way, but everything in my life has literally built up to what I do and create and am passionate about now. I come from a family of doctors. So growing up, I was always taught like anatomy names for things. Yeah. Like it wasn't enough to say collarbone, like this was clavicle, yes. Muscles, and even just like pronation, supination. When things hurt, it wasn't enough to just say, this part of my body hurts or my leg hurts. I had to say what part of my quad was hurting, where is it insertion? So just things that were,
I love that.
Yeah.
Welcome to physical therapy.
Well, and I thought that was normal growing up, I never really questioned it. And I am a classically trained dancer, and I became a competitive dancer. So by the time I reached high school, I was dancing about 20, 25 hours a week. And I had a fantastic ballet teacher who, taught me so much, and she taught a lot of ballet from an anatomy standpoint. So that really ignited my interest even more in that way. In high school, I ended up injuring my knee, and that was the first time I found Pilates, because I went to a normal doctor, and the doctor was like, "Oh, your leg can go to here. It's okay." And I was like, "No, my leg needs to go to here because I dance. Like I need to be able to kick my leg." And the doctor was like, "I don't know what's wrong." Like, so my mom was like, "Enough, we're going to the city." My mom took me to the Rockettes doctor, and they said, "You need to go get on a Pilates reformer." And that was really what rehabbed me. when I was in high school, I decided that I wanted to continue dancing and twirling around on stage. And so I have my BA in dance. And that was the first time when I got to university, was the first time I realized that people don't know, their collarbone from their clavicle. Like that was the first time I was like, oh, okay. When I would say something and people would be like, what are you talking about? And
Yeah.
look at me kind of weird. And so at that point, I made it my goal to kind of share my knowledge and turned it into my senior thesis. So I focused on anatomy and injury prevention for extreme athletes. And I ended up helping, I went to UCLA for undergrad, so they have a really big gymnastics team. And they're also really big in musical theater and theater production. And so it's helping all these really hardworking bodies, kind of like in the extremes of what your body can really do. And that was where I really started to focus on protecting these hardworking bodies with anatomy knowledge and proper alignment, taken from what my ballet teachers were taught me from when I was younger to then all of my studies and, being able to go into cadaver labs and really, pull on muscles and see how the joints would bend. And I've just, that like lit something up. It was so amazing to just see how this machine actually works and we're living in it. And then from there, I graduated and I'm a New Yorker. And so I decided I wanted to move back east and I wanted to twirl around on stage. And within the first 3 months of me being home, I ended up breaking my foot. And it was like devastating, is like
Oh, yeah.
the easiest word to kind of, but the emotions were just so much. My parents saw how just wrecked I was. And for Christmas that year, my mom decided that I needed to go and become a certified Pilates instructor. And that was a really, that I, so silly to say it, but it was like life changing. It really was because
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
going from I'm going to twirl around on stage, this is what I'm going to do, to then seeing I can really help other people. And because I have a very type A personality, I wasn't just going to take one certification. So with the organization that I was with, I took all of their certifications and then they quickly hired me while I was, rehabbing my foot to start teaching other people who wanted to become Pilates instructors. So I became master certified in their form of Pilates and started teaching their instructors. However, I quickly realized that wasn't for me. I really wanted to affect change in hardworking bodies, people that needed real help, not help the next generation of Pilates instructors. So I didn't really
Right.
do that. I did that for like 3 months and it wasn't for me. But that's when my husband walked into my life and he was like, hey, you want to move to Japan? And I was like, sure. And then about a year later, after I was teaching Pilates, I got a little bit into dance because that's when my foot started to heal. But then we, via our honeymoon, moved to Japan and we lived there for 3 years. And I opened a Pilates studio, the first to the island. So that was a really just amazing experience because that's the first time I learned to be a business owner and function on
Right.
my own. But the people of Japan have this amazing daily habit. It's called radio workouts, radio taijou is what they call it. And just like in the US where we have street lamps that lights on them, they go on at nighttime and turn off, they have street lamps and have speakers on them. And so when I was walking my dog every morning, I'd walk on the seawall, they were doing construction down there, and the little old lady who was walking her dog would be walking down with me, and the music would go on and the construction workers would stop and they'd all line up and the little old lady would tie the dog to the bench and they would all do the same workout. So it didn't matter your age,
Oh,
it didn't matter what
wow.
your career was. Some mornings when I was walking past the local school, all the young children would line up in front of the school, in like the schoolyard, and would all do the same workout. So this is something that was a countrywide habit, and it spanned ages, careers, absolutely everything. So when I saw that, working with the different kinds of hardworking bodies that I was training, and having heard their protestations, that their pain points, really, it didn't matter if they were, Marine, sailor, soldier, airman, if they were a DoD professional, if they were, stay-at-home caregiver or a triathlete, whatever they were doing, by 3 o'clock, their bodies hurt. And it really, something in me was like, there's got to be something better. There has to be a way to make it so that people can continue their day, their livelihoods without a constant 5 p.m., just breakdown. And when I was seeing this healthy habit every day, every morning, it's like, maybe there's something here. And I started learning about the habit, where it came from, what it is, why they do the moves that they do. And it is a little bit more rooted in a Japanese cultural kind of movement. And so I said, this has to be translated for, well, the West, essentially, because we sit in front of computer screens all day long. And I started exploring what that would look like, and speaking to the people who were on my reformers, because they would take mat classes with me maybe once, twice a week. They'd be on my reformer once a week, but that's not really enough. Just like you said when you were introing me, to keep you healthy through your
Right.
whole week. And it doesn't matter how much homework you give someone, they don't want to do whatever it is, all, they already have too much going on in their lives. Why were they going to add a Pilates workout, on a day that they don't see me? So then
Right.
I started figuring out how to create workouts that fit into your, like, fitting fitness into your workday is what we started with. And when I first created them, they were about 15 minutes long. And I started shopping it when I moved back to New York. I started shopping it around to companies in Manhattan, because there's endless amount of companies to go and visit. And
Oh, yeah.
I started listening to their feedback. And from there, it was too long. I don't want to do the same thing. Like, it's not really appropriate. I can't do this with my boss. And I just started tailoring things, and it became this ever developing model. And so now I have 4 sections: sitting, standing. We do core work, and then I do a balance section. What? Sorry, I said that wrong. Wow, I've never said that wrong before. It's upper body, lower body. I don't know why I said standing, core work, and then balance, which is done like 90% of the time standing. And that way it breaks it down into like small, bite size kind of, I call them health interruptions. So you can do them
Mhm.
in 3 to 5 minutes. You can extend it to 10 if you really want to keep going. You just repeat the movement pattern there. And that way it's accessible, and there's no downward dog in front of your boss. You're not doing
Right.
cartwheels down the hall. You're not getting sweaty. A lot of the things that I teach, you can even do them while you're in a meeting. And if it's a lower body move, they don't know you're working out. So it's a beneficial way to add a little bit of a natural energy boost, so that when you hit that 5 p.m. or whatever your clock out time is, you have enough energy to do the things that you want, and really spend time with the people that you want to be with, and be able to be present. That's the real goal.
Right. Well, and I love that you are able to tailor it, because I mean, I've been a physical therapist for 15 years, and the amount of times that I've had patients, spouses come in and say, "Well, you need to tell them that they need to do this." And I
Yeah.
look at my patient and I say, "Do you enjoy that? Does that bring you joy? Is that something
Homework.
that you will
Yeah.
do?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"No, I hate that."
Yeah.
So the fact that you can sit here and say, you can do this and you have these choices, it allows people to take their power back, for one, and to do something that they actually enjoy, that they're going to be consistent with. Because I love Pilates, the foundation of it, because it focuses both on strength and flexibility.
Yep.
And so often, and even in the world of physical therapy, it's like we only focus on strength, or we're only focusing on flexibility. And none of those things can be without the other, because as we age, we need all of those things.
I
So,
do. The one pushback that I will say is, I tell my kids all the time, you have to eat your broccoli. So even though some people say, like, I really don't want to do that, I say, well, if you like to work out your lower body, you need to work out your upper body too, because you need to also have that balance. So
right.
when I tell people, and when you're doing something that you like, just think about what you haven't done yet. So if it is something like they're running, we call it running under your desk, but there's a couple of different ways to do it. Then I say, okay, well, think about how many times you've run under your desk today for the 2 minute timer, and do, 2 or 3 upper body things, or, do something that gives your eyes and your hands a rest instead of sitting in front of the screen. And so some people don't really like to write it out or focus on something that's not their tech, but it's beneficial for you. So eat your
Right.
broccoli
Oh,
every
yeah.
once in a while.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And walk away from the screen. I mean,
Yes.
as
Yeah,
we're
that's
as we're
huge.
here on Zoom together. But yes, like, walk away from the screen, do something that fills your cup. But I love the message behind, piece and parceling it together, and
Yeah.
taking bite size, because you're right. I mean, I have tried and failed for years for daily workouts for an hour. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, every New Year's resolution, I'm going to do this. No, you're not. And people do, don't get me wrong, but that's not for me.
I will
So,
say, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I had a woman who was like, I can't do morning workouts. She like reached out to me and she's like, I can't do morning workouts. I'm a corporate girly. I only do the gym in the evenings. I'm finding it harder and harder to have the energy to go to the gym. What would you suggest? And I told her that it's even more important to add health interruptions through your day because that's going to help keep your energy up, keep your body warm, and just really separate yourself from your tech because you almost become like a tech zombie when you're too focused and you don't, just look around, acknowledge like real life.
right.
So I mean, I put together like a little thing for her, and I'll check in. But this is about 2 weeks ago now, and it's amazing that when you say like you can't get to that hour workout. I'm not here to replace your hour workout, but I am here that if you want the hour workout and if that's your passion, I'm here to support that so that whatever it is that you want after work, you can do. So it's not about getting sweaty during work, but yes,
Right.
let's get you to that hour workout that you want to do.
Right. And I think that that's beautiful because, like I said, there are people who thrive on that. That fills their cup. And from a exercise and health standpoint, I also really believe in doing both what fills your cup, what's mentally stimulating for you, and something that you're going to commit to. So if you are
Yeah.
an hour-long workout person, awesome. You do you. That's great. Um, so many of our listeners are women and mothers and are juggling entrepreneurial careers. How are you helping your clients avoid burnout with these exercise interruptions during the day?
Well, so for parents who would rather when I talk to like moms groups or church groups, a lot of them just say like I just don't have time to work out. And for those people, I can say like I can help you too. And that's where I really what I suggest because a lot of these moms they have their like side hustle, right? That's their thing. And when it's like a side hustle and it's when your kids are at school, you typically, right? I'm speaking in vast generalizations here. So, forgive me, but you typically have a little bit more control over your schedule. And so what I teach for people who are primarily entrepreneurs or what do they call them when they travel and they can really manage their own schedules. For anyone that really can schedule their own day, I teach people to schedule in what I call the 50-10 ratio. And when that happens, it requires two timers, really easy. Set a 50-minute timer, 50, and commit to completely focused work. And then when the timer goes off, set a 10-minute timer and commit to actual movement. Now, that can be anything. If you're working from home, get creative. I tell people to go up and down a flight of stairs for 5 minutes. Just be careful, but it's a great bum workout. I really like folding laundry standing up so that you can move around, prep dinner. Don't cook it, but prep dinner, right? You can take 10 minutes to do that. You can get really creative. And on most of my social media sites, I have a whole list of things that you can do that are in 10 minutes that are really around your own personal space, and a list of things that you can do when you have to sit at your desk or stand at your workspace. But the goal here is to get that 10 minutes of movement in and really add that fitness. Again, you don't have to sweat it out, but you are engaging and activating your muscles because the age old like silly saying, if you don't use it, you lose it is true. So like if you don't raise your arms up, by the time you get to 50, this is all you're going to be able to do. You're not going to be able to get your hands overhead. And I've done enough in office talks to see enough men who were barely 50 that could barely raise their arms above their elbows because they sit at a desk all day and they type away on their computer and their body isn't required to move, to stretch, to extend anymore. So we don't want that to happen at the very least.
Oh, yeah. Well, and how do you see people's productivity improve and their leadership skills and their leadership ability when they take these moments for themselves each day?
I will say one of the biggest like protests that I get when I say like schedule at least 3 to 5 minutes, if you can't get the 10 minutes in, well, I'm not going to get everything done. There's no way. And then when I say, well, let's give it like 2 weeks. I want you to try this. And what people find is that they're accomplishing more faster because some people, it's a beat the clock kind of like competitive thing
Right.
where they see, okay, I only have 50 minutes. Let's see how many things I can check off. And also
Right.
I love to-do lists because I list things personally for me. I list things in easiest to most difficult to accomplish because in my brain, when I go and sit down, I say, okay, these three things are going to be the easiest for me to accomplish. And within the first hour, I can check off three things. And there's, like 8 or 9 things on my to-do list for that day. I'm like, wow, I got through three things in 50 minutes. Look at this. And then I get to move around for 10 minutes. And even if I only get one thing done less the next hour, that's already almost halfway through my list for the day. And it's only,
Right.
10:50 in the morning. So having that kind of motivator, maybe people find that a little bit stressful. You can put the clock away, or I frequently use just my watch on my wrist. So then I just get a little buzz when I do need to, move or sit back down again. And that it seems like it's going to make your workday, less productive, but in the end, you end up, it takes it to a different level. Um, on the
Even for
flip
people who
side,
are trying to like beat the clock, there's also a physiological benefit of walking away. Heart
yes,
rate improvement, blood pressure
yeah,
improvement, you're moving, your body metabolism has gone up, so you're able to focus better. You know,
yes, and
I
that goes back to the like a breaking from a statue lifestyle, what I call it, because typically what happens when you get stressed out, we think like, let me just get closer to my computer, like let me just get in there. If I just I can finish this, let me just finish this one thing, right? And your shoulders are hurting and you're hunched over and you're breathing shallow, and the tension is like a head, neck, shoulder tension is all in it. And if you can really let go of that and really move around and start breathing and reoxygenating your body, and just the energy just comes back naturally. And so when I talk about breathing, and I really like box breathing for this. I know I hate starting with breathing because people are always like, breathing doesn't work. And I'm like, it doesn't work by itself. Like you have to do other things, but breathing is a tool to help wake up your brain, to help like warm up your chest, to physically open your rib cage, because that's all the same thing there when we were talking about raising your arms. If you don't breathe in through your nose and really use the full capacity of your lungs, it's going to go away. You have to, it's a muscle. It's something that you need to kind of keep working through. But yes, I completely agree with you. Actually getting away from a screen and looking at something else is, I mean, beyond just the physical benefits for your body, looking at something in real life will help you mentally put your computer life into perspective, right? The sun is outside. I shouldn't be tired right now. Like the birds are chirping. This is a good
Right.
time. That this winter is starting to die down. Spring is coming. This is new life, rebirth, all of those things to just kind of mentally put things into perspective, that like, this isn't your whole world, right? To be able to
Right.
look around.
Well, and just to go back for a second to the ability to raise your arms over your head, you also have to have a certain amount of thoracic extension to do that, which then
Mm-hmm.
also opens up your chest and your breathing. So it's not just, oh, I can't raise my arms over my head. It's I'm not using the vital capacity that I have to breathe
Yeah.
that also affects everything else in life. Um, what do you say to the moms who feel guilty, especially your stay-at-home moms or moms who are really, really involved with their kiddos or their spouse, and they don't feel like they can take the time for themselves? How do you help
Um,
teach
I
them that it's
well,
of utmost
so
importance?
you're asking good questions and things that I actually haven't taught in a long time. So I actually used to teach back in my Manhattan days. I used to teach to nannies and babysitters and to young mom groups. And I would tell parents who feel like, oh my goodness, I have a little bit of guilt here, to involve your kids in it, to involve the people around you in it. So I know with kids, it's a little bit different. Like if you're working and they're playing and you need to take that break, simple like movements that they might be working on, like crawling, jumping, things that you can do with them, those are going to be beneficial for them and for you. And just involve them in it. I mean, it's a little bit different with your spouse. I mean, we're talking like 5, 10 minutes. If they can't get it for 5 minutes and you can't walk away, you got different kinds of problems there. But with kids, I tell people, if they're in the high chair and you're trying to get them to eat, do those 10 squats, they're going to be laughing and you can put the spoon in their mouth after,
Right.
you're done. Just things that our goal is not to rearrange our schedule so that we can get healthy, but to fit it into the day and make it flow almost seamlessly.
Well, and as a mom too, so many women who I work with, they want to give the best of themselves to their children and their spouse. And oftentimes, when we don't take this time for ourselves, our spouse and our children get the worst of us. So I hope my clients kind of reframe that too, is like, you have to. Self-care is non-negotiable. If you don't take that time for yourself, everything else is going to fall
Yeah.
apart.
Yeah. What do they say on airplanes? Like put your mask on first and then help somebody else, or take care of yourself,
Yes.
whatever it is.
Yes.
Well, yes. I mean, there's real validity in that, right? Especially because you want to be able to model good behavior, healthy behavior for your kids. And if you're not doing it first, then how are they going to do it?
Right.
And so my oldest is 11, and we're getting into like the competitive sport, like time frame, he's like starting to move that way. And, last weekend I was teaching him how to do push-ups, like proper posture for push-ups.
Okay.
And there's just certain things that like he's looking at me, and my youngest two are like, oh wow, that's kind of silly, mommy. But then they got on the floor and they're doing it with us. And so it wasn't even a time to work out, like this is a workout time, we're going to do this now. It was more of a, all right, we're going to try this now. Could my 5-year-olds do it? And no. And it was cute to see them try, and they're kind of, maybe they did like one, they kind of bouncing around. But then it was also cool to see my son actually, work towards that goal, and to be able to see, oh, okay, mommy does this, I can do this too. And to set up a schedule for him and kind of show him the progression of getting building, but you still like building up the momentum and the stamina within your body to be able to do these things, and kind of showing them how to do it. So you're not going from, 0 workout to 50 push-ups a day, which I think
Right.
so many people try. And that's also the reason why they fail, and really
Right.
starting with 5 good ones. And within the next 4 months, working up to getting to those 50 push-ups.
Well, and I love too, obviously my background as a PT, the fact that you focus so heavily on alignment.
Yeah.
And for women and young girls especially, that's not something that's focused on. I mean, my
Yeah.
my daughter's 10 and we work on that now because she's not getting it in school. She's not
Yeah.
getting it in PE. And you think about, like, I tore my ACL in high school, and I think about I had many, many years of dance as well, and where I would have been if I hadn't had that.
Mm.
And so many young girls, alignment is so important, and it's something that you can't always fix if we don't start on the right path to begin with.
And I will say, for better or worse, the human brain makes decisions in a split second, within the first, what is it, like 2.5 seconds or something like that, something like crazy, a lot, like that. And that goes for when you walk into a room or you're watching a video. And in any case, presenting yourself in the best way, it within your best self is only going to be beneficial to you. So if I walked into a room like this, kind of, nobody wants to talk to you, but also
Right.
it's painful. It's
Right.
actually painful to not be aligned. And uh the professionals that I teach this to, the first thing I say to them is I teach a 3-step posture check, because I tell them that proper posture is your first line of defense against stress. If you're sitting upright, your lungs can work properly, which means that the oxygen is getting to your brain, which means that your brain stays active and you're not looking like that fetal position that you go to bed in, right? So we're
Right.
sitting upright. So it tells your brain this is work time. This is not bedtime. It's not relaxed time. It's not sitting on a couch with our knees up to our chest. We have our feet on the ground and we're sitting or standing. It works when you're standing in your workspace as well.
Right.
But yes, so posture is definitely your first line of defense against stress. And I grew up with my grandmother was a concert pianist. So she was constantly like, sit up tall, shoulders back, sit up tall, and always on me. And you find it annoying, but then really, it sinks in, and it's not something that I even think about. To the point where people are like, you never use the back of a chair. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not, not on purpose, and then and if I go to like lean back into something, it was just ingrained in me, like, this is how you sit, this is where your legs need to be, this is how you cross your legs, all of those kinds of like little things, especially when you're young. If you can learn that, you're going to protect your body, you're going to be in less pain, you're also going to be more confident because it's coming from the inside and working out, because people are going to look at you different. That means they're going to interact with you different. Same thing if you're on a digital call, if you're in a boardroom and you're sitting down and someone new walks in, if you're in the boardroom and you're at a table and your boss's box walks in and you only see him 6 times a year and you're sitting there like this, he's not going to want to talk to you. But if you're sitting upright and your shoulders are down, your chin is up, and you just smile nicely, of course he's going to say, oh, okay, I can talk to that person now.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, this has been such a beautiful conversation. I want to make sure our audience knows how to get in touch with you, how to connect with you. So how can they do that?
The best place to connect with me is definitely LinkedIn. That's where I respond to most messages. My website, jobufit.com. You can you can contact me there. It'll send me an email right from there. And then you can find me on TikTok and Facebook. That's like the two that have the most activity on it. I'm also on Instagram, but my Instagram was hacked last year, so I haven't gotten back to loving it. I hate to, put that out there. It's just, it left me with a sour note that I've just kind of, I'll stick with TikTok and Facebook now, but LinkedIn is definitely the place. On TikTok and Facebook, you can find me at alessa.caridi, just my name. On Facebook also at Jobu Fit. And then on LinkedIn, of course, Alessa Caridi, you can look me up there. But yeah, send me messages. I'm always answering questions. I constantly get, this hurts, can you help me out? Or do you have a video for this? Or can you send me a link to something else? And I guarantee you I have a video that can help you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
As we close out today's episode, I want to leave you with this. Your next level is already within you. If you're feeling that pull for more clarity, more alignment, and more courage to step fully into who you're meant to be, this is your invitation to take the next step. Whether you're an entrepreneur ready to scale or a woman standing at the edge of something bigger, the path forward starts with trusting your desires, owning your worth, and leading with your inner knowing. This is exactly what I offer. Private VIP coaching, and where I guide women inside the 10K Club and 50K Club through consulting with She Sells and Superhuman Selling to help you gain clarity, step into aligned action, and build a life and business that reflects your highest vision. If you're ready to explore what's next, let's have a conversation. Book a free call now at www.corywinn.com/free call. I can't wait to connect with you. Talk soon.